What's up guys, this is Tampatec. A few months ago I did a video about all the cool tech mods I did for the Machine Bride of Pinball made by Williams. Now I'm going to show you all the cool tech mods you could do for the Getaway High Speed 2 Williams Pinball Machine. Now the first mod I did was install all LEDs. I swapped out every single incandescent bulb for LED bulbs, and it can take a while. Now, luckily for me, when I bought this pinball machine from Little Shop of Games, a local Tampa shop here, and he had mostly LEDs in this machine except for the flashers. And I added the red and blue flashers to simulate police lights. These LED buttons, I got at Comet Pinball, and I got this sticker that goes around it at Pinside website. And I think it adds some character to the side of the pinball machine. The interactive LED police lights, as you can see under here. And it's basically an LED strip, and the wiring for that LED strip goes through this hole. Now the hole was already there, it's factory made, and the wiring goes all the way up in the cabinet to the back box, and it connects to the power driver board. Next is this headphone station made by pinsound, and you just simply plug in your headphones and it automatically switches the volume to the headphones. You can play late at night, and it mounts using the leg bolts right here. The wiring for the headphone station mounts underneath the cabinet, and once again it goes through that hole and plugs into the pinsound soundboard. Yes, you have to swap out the factory soundboard for a pinsound soundboard, and the reason why is because you could do so much with these Williams pinball machines. All right, these LED lights are just plug and play, as you can see, and sometimes you have to adjust the connection right here, just spread them out a little bit, and when they go out you just do a little wiggle and spread that connection, and it should stay on. I probably have to replace that socket eventually. The bulb is good, it just, that socket is 30 years old. These are the LED flashers, and these are just plug and play as well. I also upgraded the DMD. This is a color DMD, and the old DMD was just plain orange, and I think the color really gives it more life. It adds character. There's two different versions of this DMD. There's a LED version and the LCD version, and the LCD version is a little bit bigger and it overhangs. That's why you have to take the bottom out before you open this up, because you can crack the LCD. But what's cool about the LCD is you can actually lower the brightness, increase the brightness, and do a couple extra features where the LED DMD can't do. But other than that, they both look really nice in color. So right here is the pinsound soundboard, and it mounts using the existing mounting screws, which is very convenient. And this is the headphone station connection right here. And right here is the USB cable, and that goes down underneath the playfield, and it connects to a USB. I have a USB drive, and it has, I believe, 4 or 5 sound packs. One sound pack is AC/DC, another sound pack is 90s techno music, and another sound pack is the original soundtrack for the Getaway High Speed 2 pinball machine. And I think there's another sound, oh yeah, Eddie Van Halen sound pack. And so anytime I want to switch out the sound packs, I basically just turn the volume down twice. 1, 2. You hear that chime? So to swap out the sound packs and move to the next one, you just hit volume down twice. All right, and so that is the next sound pack. That's the Techno sound pack. The pinsound board Plus gives you all these extra adjustments and knobs, which is really cool. You gotta adjust it for extra bass and mids. I highly suggest getting the pinsound board Plus. Since this is not a 30-year-old board, it's gonna last a lot longer, and it has actually a 5-volt readout right here. It lets you know the status, which is really nice. and all the connections are the same, so it just plug and play when you install this. Now after installing the shaker, I'm going to show you that later on, I guess it was drawing too much current and it was causing the game to shut down during gameplay and resetting the game. And so I got this little board, it's called No More Reset, and it basically keeps the 5 volts from dropping too low, resetting the CPU board. So now this board doesn't reset anymore because of this tiny board that you see right here. And this board is really cool because it tells you you're getting steady 5 volts. See that green light? And once again, this is just plug and play. You unplug the original connection and then you plug the board in, and then the original connection plugs on top of this mod. Once you install all the LEDs on this pinball machine, you have to update the game ROM. And the reason why is because sometimes you get ghosting. This game was really made for incandescent bulbs. It wasn't made for LED bulbs because they weren't out at the time. So updating this game ROM to the latest version with the LED patch is highly recommended so you don't get any kind of flickering or ghosting on the LED lights. I highly recommend installing a lithium battery mod. And the reason why is because the original battery holder was alkaline AA battery holder, which after like 6 months to a year, the batteries tend to leak battery acid onto the board and damage the CPU board. And this is a WPC board, I believe it's called. So only thing I have to do is desolder the old battery holder and install this new one. Now if you're going to go ahead and swap out the battery holder for a lithium battery holder, which lasts 5 years versus 6 months, because lithium batteries last way longer than crappy alkaline AA batteries, I highly suggest swapping out this capacitor right here. And the reason why is because they last about 10 to 15 years and it goes bad. And when it goes bad, you will reset the game. Basically, all your high scores and settings will be gone. So even though you have the battery, which holds the high scores and settings, if this capacitor is bad, it would still, reset your game in high score and settings. Install a new lithium battery button cell and swap out the capacitor and you're good to go for a long time. Now over here you see this board. Once again, this is a plug and play board, and you plug in this board and you plug in the existing connector on top, kind of like a piggyback connection. And what this does is an interactive LED strip, and it interacts during multi-ball. And so when you're playing, certain events like a multi-ball or you get a jackpot, these lights start doing really cool stuff. So to install this was really easy. It just sticks onto the ramp. Of course, you have to clean the ramp before you install that, or else it's gonna peel. Now back here, I installed a switch. This is a fuse LED switch. So I could turn that off, and then that turns off the LED strip. And I wired it right here. That's how it's wired. And then turn it on, you just do that. And then it turns the LED strip on. Now over here, here's another mod, and this actually connects to right here, the pin soundboard. And this is for the shaker. And the wires go down here, all the way down below, and plugs into the shaker. And so how the shaker works is it's actually attached to the sound effects on your USB thumb drive. Pinsound created their own program, how to do all this, and they have tutorials on their YouTube channel. Now I set my shaker to low because on a high setting, it would shake all the screws and bolts loose in this 30-year-old machine. So I highly suggest setting it to low. And having a shaker in this Getaway Pinball machine is really awesome because when you rev up the engine, it shakes the machine. And when you turn over the ignition, then it also shakes the machine. Kind of like the engine's turning over, which is kind of cool. Now, if you see this beacon light up there, that's actually factory. But I did swap out the incandescent bulb with the LED flasher bulb up there. Now, one thing I did forget to mention is these special rotating LEDs, and they're really cool to have, especially if you have something like this on your glass, your translite helicopter, and it basically simulates the blades rotating. Pretty cool effect. And of course, the red and blue flashers simulate these police lights. Now, if you're wondering what this is, this basically blocks the reflection of this LCD DMD. So I don't see it on the playfield glass. Now, another cool mod I did is I installed these glow balls. They glow in black light, and they're basically lighter, faster, and bouncier than a standard ball. It's the same size as a pinball, but this basically has, I believe it's resin on the outside and an iron core. So it still works with all the magnetic coils, and you know, if you have like electromagnetic coils like the Getaway has, which is inside the supercharger, there's 3 electromagnetic coils that propel the ball around the track. And it works great still using these special mod balls. And they're called glow balls. I got them at Menzel Mods. Now, one of my favorite mods is the ignition key mod. Instead of a boring push button to start the game like this one does, I installed this ignition key mod. I took out the old button and installed this, and I'm going to show you right now. So you just turn the key, it shakes the machine. So look what happens, or listen too. So every time you hit the side button right here, it shakes the machine and it lights up right here, the RPMs. Now my son and I installed these spotlights. These are really cool. I got it at Comet Pinball. I highly suggest using the flush mounted bulbs, because the other bulbs that pop out, the standard LED bulbs, fall out. These don't. These are really bright too. Without these LEDs, this center playfield would be really dark. This is a modded spinner, and this is actually connected to the freeway switch back there underneath the playfield. And so when the ball hits this, it spins really quick, and it gives you a cool effect, because behind it says 165, and in the front the speed limit says 65. And when you spin it, it just looks really, really cool. I greased up the sides so it spins faster. I took it off the switch because it was impeding the ball speed, and I didn't really want extra points for hitting the spinner. I just wanted to see the effect, because the original high-speed pinball machine, part 1, has 3 spinners, one right here, there, and there. It's basically the same layout. High-speed 2 has this extra toy to make it a little bit more fun. Back here is the Freeway Entrance LED sign, and it mounts on this switch right here. It's super easy to mount that. So to trigger that light, which is connected to the lock lamp, that's when the ball's ready to be locked for a multi-ball, you gotta hit all the traffic lights back here, and then that light will trigger, and then that mod back there will also trigger, because that Lamborghini and that Freeway Entrance sign is connected to this lock lamp. Now this Lamborghini that you see right here, I made myself. I bought the Lamborghini car from eBay for around $10, and I bought 12-volt white LEDs, and I drilled through the hood using a metal drill bit, and I wired it under here, ran the wires under here, and this is on just by double-sided Velcro, and that is wired to the lock lamp, so it would only be triggered when the ball's ready to be locked. So the headlights are flashing toward that ramp. That ramp goes down only when the ball's ready to be locked. So moving on over to this mountain mod. This is one of the best mountain mods, and there's a LED strip right in there illuminating that hole. That's where the ball goes in, and you get awarded points. And he recommended that I install this spotlight, which is really cool. It just makes the mountain mod look really special. This is where the ball is locked for multi-ball, underneath this donut shop. Originally, it was just a plain boring metal plate here, but I decided to upgrade that metal plate to a 3D printed custom donut shop. The donut shop illuminates when you connect the wires to the general illumination underneath the playfield. The donut shop and the mountain mod is such popular mods, they actually include them in virtual pinball, such as the Williams Pinball app, Pinball FX3. You can find that on Steam and download it to your computer, and VPX. If you're interested in VPX, check out the World of Virtual Pinball. That channel shows you everything about it. One of my favorite mods that I created was this police car mod. You could buy the police car mods on eBay for around $60 to $70, but I decided to make my own. I wanted to make it identical to these police cars up here, which have the yellow stripes, the gold star, the red and blue lights. And that's what I did. I painted yellow stripes using acrylic paint, and then I put a gold star on the hood and red and blue lights on top. And let me go ahead and trigger that. And as you can see, they flicker a different sequence. They don't flicker together because they're wired to different flashers underneath the playfield. So the red LED, these are 12 volt LEDs, is wired to this red flasher right there, and this blue LED goes down underneath the playfield right here, and that is wired to the blue flasher right here. Now another mod I installed was the stick shift mod. The original stick shift was just a black handle, pretty boring. I wanted the ability to swap out with different knobs. Like here's one right here. I got these at AutoZone. Well, actually, I got this one on Amazon, and I got this at AutoZone. And this has a button right here. It uses a battery, and you hold the button down to turn off the light. All right, and then hit that button again to turn on the light. And it matches the theme of the pinball machine. And so now, because I swapped out the different stick shifts, and you have to swap out the whole stick shift, the whole assembly. It's kind of a pain, but it's worth it because now you can swap out knobs. So if you get bored of this one, you just twist it off. Eventually, there you go. And then, well, I have to get another screw, and you would screw it on, and you can swap out with different knobs. This is the shaker. That's the shaker motor, and it's very powerful. So those are all my mods on the Getaway High Speed 2 pinball machine. If this video was informative, give me a big thumbs up. If you know anyone that loves pinball machines, go ahead and click on that share button below, share this video to them, subscribe and hit that bell notification to stay updated on the latest tech videos.